Hey guys, and welcome back to Regrexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, the IMF have told pencil neck Tin Lizzie Truss, you need to change direction. You're heading straight for a brick wall. Biden already told her what last week. He already said to her, listen, damn plans that you've got, you trickle down economics. I know a joke about that, but you'll never get it. Right, the same triple down economics, right? It's not going to work. And this woman still went ahead, right? And now the IMF have had to step in. And there's a whole heap of people, you've got your John Redwood and your Crispin Olby and all these people who are now, thinking that they should be saying that the IMF, they're calling them, a left-wing organisation, and it's their fault, right? Why our pound is in the toilet it's in. I mean, these guys are actually blaming the Remainers for the devaluing of the pound. I've heard that come out this morning as well. There's a whole heap of madness. But once the IMF have to step in, right, and say, because they're the International Monitoring Fund, right? Once they have to step in, right, and say, listen, you know what, you're heading off of a cliff here. Right, you need to change direction. You need to, because it's like you don't know what the hell you're doing. You realise, right, that since Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng have taken over control of the economy, right, they have taken off £550 billion of Britain's bottom line. 550 billion, that's over half a trillion, just in the space of these guys have been in 3 weeks. Right, and they've already taken off 500. I haven't even heard about those type of figures. A prime minister just coming into power and with the new chancellor, and that happens, right? I mean, the pound. These guys have taken off. From since Friday, because the pound is what, it's 106, 107, right? So they've taken off 6 or 7%. Straight off the value of the pound, just like that. I know these things fluctuate, right? But this is just a couple of days. This is I mean, we've just gone past the weekend. Well, or Wednesday now, but we've literally just gone past the weekend, right? And the pound is still not showing any signs of real recovery. Right, because going from remember it was at 3, it was at 103, right? So going from that to 106, 107, right, and I think it was 115 or something like that when these two took over, but and even that was a complete crap, but somehow they've got to put some of that value back onto the pound, and these guys have got no clue how to do that. Do you know what I mean? So that's why the IMF is stepping in and saying, listen, you have to change direction. You have to change direction, because you've got to remember that Britain is one of the financial centres of the world. Well, was. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of that status has been lost because of Brexit. So a lot of that status has been lost. Right, as a lot of our status in the world has been completely trashed because of Brexit, right? Because you people, right, decided you're going to vote against your own interest, right? Because you're concerned about people who look like me, and that's a very, very sad place to be. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. So let's go over to America, because we've got a little fight going on between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Donald Trump, has called Ron DeSantis a fat, phony, whiny fool. Obviously behind closed doors. So then Ron DeSantis decides, you know what, Donald Trump, right, is a TV personality who has no right to run for the presidency. He's a moron, says DeSantis behind closed doors. DeSantis says the only way you can deal with Trump here is to take him head on, right? But I don't think DeSantis would not have a chance against Trump. Not a chance. No chance at all. Because you see, I was watching a little bit of some Trump supporters being interviewed, right? And these people, right, are they're ill. There's something right within their head, right? They've got some type of illness, because if you see how these people was twisting themselves in knots to say, well, yeah, you can, like, declassify documents by by thinking about it. I mean, he's the president after all, and the FBI have planted these documents, and you know the you know none of them could come out and say, well, no, actually, only one of them actually said no. Well, she just laughed when she said, he declassified them in his mind. He just thought about it. She just laughed, right? But the rest of them was just completely twisting themselves in knots. You know what I mean? So DeSantis can get into all sorts, right, of arguments that he wants with Trump, right? But right, if he has to go up against Trump for the actual nomination, right, and it's down to the people. I can't remember how to do it now, but yeah, I think it's down to the people and who they have to get the votes and be like, right. So if it's down to that, right, then DeSantis has no chance, because DeSantis has no backbone. DeSantis is like he's basically Ted Cruz. Do you know what I mean? Rather as a senator, as a governor. Do you know what I mean? DeSantis is an idiot, right? And his ass could well be in jail soon. So it might not even come to that where he might even be thinking about running to be president, because his ass may well soon be in prison where he should be. One of the Stephen Lawrence killers has been found using a mobile phone in prison. David Norris, right, son of one of the most notorious gangsters, Clifford Norris. Right, and Clifford Norris, he was on them gangsters from like back in I think they're like I think late 70s, 80s type of gangster clique. I mean, because there's those guys, a lot of those guys was like Kenny Noy and all those guys. They all that stuff, always like the Brinks Mac clique and all that type of thing. And remember the thing in Hatton Gardens, this is all the same type of clique, all same type of era, right? So this is where his dad's come from, but his ass has been caught using a mobile phone in prison now, right? So I can't remember how much years he got, but I know he got life, and he's been in about 10. I think he's been in about 10 years now, right? But whatever the case, yeah, this making them find this mobile phone, because this guy, yeah, has been sending out selfies and all that to his friends, right? Plus, apparently, he's got Twitter and Facebook and you know what I mean, and a couple other social media, right? And this guy's been sending out all sorts of social media and all that stuff. Seriously, you're one of Britain's most notorious prisoners, right? The newspapers are interested in anything he does. Right, and then you're sending out all these things and then obviously if like you've got Facebook and all those things, there's gonna be people on there who do you know what I mean, who have no real allegiance to you, do you know what I mean, and will sell a story to the newspapers, and that's exactly what's happened, right? But apparently, yeah, he's been admitting that he was the actual person that stabbed and killed Stephen Lawrence, right? Now, the thing is, right, the police have never actually, right, had like for him to say, well, listen, I done it. He was convicted, right? But as you know, like people can be convicted and can be convicted of a crime. So the police really would love to get hold of this mobile phone, because they think that it could have evidence on there, right, of him admitting to actually murdering Stephen Lawrence. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, as I said, he's been convicted, right, but the police would just love that, right, because obviously he went not guilty on it, right. So with that, you can have like so much evidence, right, on a person, and it just might turn out, it wasn't actually that person that done it, right? We've had that with a good few people. I mean, people have been hung. People have been hung in this country back in the day, obviously, and people have been, in America, people have gone to the electric chair. Right, innocent people, right? People have spent 30 years in prison. I've seen it in prison in America. You see these things all over YouTube. People have been 30 years in prison, and then all that time they're fighting, saying, "Listen, I never done this crime." Right? A guy got out just the other day. A guy got out just the other day. I can't remember what his name was, but he got out just the other day, right? And he had done, I think he had done about 15 years, but he got a life sentence. And obviously, when you get a lot of times when you get a life sentence in America, they say, "Well, you're never coming out of prison." When they tell you that, right, the only way you're coming out is generally is after you spent like 60 or 70 years in prison. Do you know what I mean? Then they're like, "Oh well, the person's in their 80s now, like their late 80s, right? So they can get out then. But like, once they tell you you're not coming out, you have to be really old, right, or dead to come out of prison. Homeowners have been warned to expect their mortgages to rise because of obviously, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. Right, the Bank of England and the government, right, are fighting against each other. Right? One monetary, one physical, right? But they're fighting against each other. And when them two fight against each other, the only thing that can happen is inflation fly up, yeah, and interest rates go up. And they're looking at like 5-6%. Now, when you think about it, right, they was threatening us, right, with 5-6 grand utility costs. So they have to make the money up somewhere, don't they? Right. So now they're looking at 5-6% like interest rates. That's what they're talking about. I don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, remember, we've had negative interest rates. So now they're looking at 5-6%. Which, let me tell you this, right? All of the people who have overpaid for their houses, right? There's going to be a lot of keys being handed back because at those type of figures, right? People's mortgages will go from like, they'll go from like maybe 700 quid to 2,200. That's what you're talking about, right? You're talking about like, I mean, if it goes to like if it goes 2-3%, right? Then you'd be talking about on a mortgage where you've got a mortgage of like say £650, right? Then you'd be talking about like maybe 1150, 1200, quite easily, right? On 2-3%. So you could imagine 5-6% where it's going to go to, right? And so much people who have already overpaid for their houses. Because remember, I keep saying houses, right, in this country are overvalued, right? And people have bought into. I know that people have to have somewhere to live, and the person next door has paid 325 grand for a house that's worth £72,000. But right, so the next person that comes along, they have to pay that money because they need somewhere to live, so they have to. So we've had that. It's a snowball effect. It's been a snowball effect all the way. But if this crashes now, then people are going to really find out. And then we've had Rupa Huck, right, MP, has been suspended from the Labour Party and the whip has been taken away from her for calling Kwasi Kwarteng superficially black. Well, I said, well, what did she do wrong? Just remind me what she's done wrong here. Because Kwasi Kwarteng is superficially black. This is the thing. You see, this is the thing with the people from the right wing. Yeah, they because obviously Keir Starmer's had to jump on this because with the Labour Party is so scared of the right wing. So anything that looks like anything that it looks in any way at all, the Labour Party will be, oh no, we've got to take action. Right, when they should just fight this out against the right wing media because this country is run by the right wing media, right? So Keir Starmer has he suspended her, right? Now, Ruba Huck did once call Rishi Sunak, right, a little brown man. I said, well, what's wrong with that? She's Asian, right? And she's described him. I mean, he is a little brown man. I mean, what's she supposed to say? Oh, he's a towering fellow when he's not. He's a little brown man, right? So I can't really see, right? And the right wing already, they're quick to jump on and say, oh well, you know what, you're racist, right? And they say, well, it's you who wants them people who look like me to Rwanda, right? Right? So Kwasi Kwarteng and people like this, these people are they're the real gatekeepers, right? And they, right, make the Tories acceptable because of them, because of people like that. Because Kwasi Kwarteng can sit there and he can vote, right, to send people who looks like him to Rwanda, right. He can fight. He can go out there and he can defend the Tories, right, when they bring out this ridiculously disgusting Saul report, right. He can defend the Tories over Windrush, right. But he expects us, right, to say, oh no, this is these people are out there looking out for our interest. No, you're not. You're not looking out for interest. What you're doing, right, is you're justifying what the Tories are doing. You're justifying their disgusting racist policies by them, because they could just point and say, well, he's black and he's okay with this, right? Not one white politician in this country, right, would have ever dreamt up this Rwanda plan. Okay, not one of them would have dreamt it. They'll vote for it. None of them would have dreamt it up. Never. They wouldn't have touched it from anywhere, right? But Priti Patel, that's why they've got black and Asian people in the Tory party, right? And what gets me, right, is the black and Asian people in the Tory party, right, they know this, right, and they do not come out. Kwasi Kwarteng over Windrush, Kwasi Kwarteng just simply should have come out and said, this was disgusting and I am ashamed to be a Tory. Okay? That's all he needed to do, right? And that would have given the Tories a right kick up the arse, right? And they would have never come out with this Windrush plan if they know that people like Kwasi Kwarteng, right, or Corella what's her face, right, would stand up and say, no, we're not going to put these policies through because these policies are racist to people who look like me. But no. They are the people who are pushing these policies, and then they expect, right, everyone to have 100% respect for them when, right, they, right, are doing these things to please white people. That's why they're doing these things, right? And for me, that really is just disgusting, right? Kwasi Kwarteng is okay saying, okay, as many white Ukrainians can come here as possible. Now listen. I've got no problem with the Ukrainians coming here. You know me already, right? On LBC, Tom Solbrick calls me John No Borders. And he calls me that for a reason. Because I believe in a world with no borders. Okay? So I've got no problem with anybody, right, moving around the world. We're human beings, right? And the world should be our oyster, right? Whichever human who wants to move around, wherever you want in the world, you should be able to move around. So long as, right, you're not a fucking rapist, right, a child molester, or a murderer. Right, then you should be able to move around the world however you want. Right, so long as you're not a complete danger to wherever you're going in the world. Right, so Kwasi Kwarteng, he's okay, right, with saying, oh, we want as many white Ukrainians to come here, but people who look like me, no, I don't want no more of them here. No. And then he expects us to respect him. Fuck him. Simple as that, right? And Keir Starmer is a fucking dick, right, for getting rid of Rupert Huck in this way, right? And what really pisses me off about it, right, is this, right? I'm much more upset, right, about what Keir Starmer had to say about the Scots, right? I don't understand, right, where this racism comes from, like from the left and from the right towards the fucking Scots, right? Keir Starmer's supposed to be a left-wing leader. Right? The Scots are very left-wing people, right? And he thinks it's okay to insult them, right? And all he's done now, he single-handedly yesterday handed, right, Scotland, right, their referendum, because now the Scots can say, well, you know something, because I can guarantee you, right, that there might have been some Scots who were saying, you know something, yeah, if we get like a Labour Party, yeah, I wouldn't really want to leave. But he's taken that away from them now, right? Because he's been just as disrespectful to them as Liz Truss was the other day, right? And that's really pissed me off about what Keir Starmer's done. Because yesterday he was coming up with some good policies, right? This whole new green energy that the British British energy company that he wants to start. I'm saying, well, that's a good idea. Taking back control of the train lines is a bloody good idea. It's going along the right lines. All he needs to say is, what, I'm looking at taking back the gas, the electric, and the water, and then I'm right behind you all the fucking way, right? But when you start disrespecting the fucking Scots just for no reason, Right, I have a serious problem with that. Do you know what I mean? Because it shouldn't be happening. Do you know what I mean? The Scots are some of the nicest people on these fucking islands, right? And we've got these fucking arseholes thinking it's okay to disrespect them, right? Knowing that they're already pissed, right? Being led by London. We know that. Right, and now, right, this is like a fucking, a drunken fellow who says to his wife, well, you know what, you can't fucking leave me, fuck off. And just rapes her every fucking night. Bit extreme, but that's how fucking strongly I feel about it, because it's a load of fucking bullshit. And I'm really pissed off with fucking Keir Starmer about it. I think he's a fucking dick. Thames Water have said they're going to be keeping the hosepipe ban, right, over the winter. So they've got a fucking site here just down the road from me, just at Beckton, not far from me, right? I say, well, it's been pissing down a fucking rain. Well, we've had loads of rain, right? And still, these people are like, oh, hosepipe ban. I've already gone over 20 minutes. Already gone over 20 minutes. It was going hosepipe ban. So, should we speak about some? Hold on. Oh no, actually, the Royal Mail, right, will walk out in October and November for 19 days straight. And I'm sure there was, that's another thing, on the sidelines in the Labour sidelines in the conference, there was a lot of people speaking about, you know what, we need to re-nationalise the Royal Mail. I mean, imagine that. The Royal. I mean, the name's in the title. Royal Mail. The name's in the title. Something that should have never been sold off in the first place. How they've got to do that, I don't know. But since they started on all this sell-off, right, they've sold off, I think it's 140 and counting different parts of the infrastructure of this country. So you break it down like Thames, you break it down things like Thames Water, London Electric. Do you know what I mean? We know they've sold off all the electric, but that's how it's been broken down. Or as individuals, it's 140 they've sold off, right? Things that the government should be running. But I think we should speak about some Brexit, because post-Brexit checks has reduced Eurostar London terminal by 1/3. And you see these people, right, what these people have done to this country, what you racist motherfucking fools have done to this country, right? We was like internationally, like we was like highly respected internationally, right? Now we're one big pile of poo internationally, right? And that's why, right, post Brexit, right, it has done, because obviously it's the post Brexit checks, right, that has reduced the Eurostar by 1/3. It's not good, man. It's not good. Brexiters are blaming Remainers for the devaluing of the pound. They say it's all the Remainers' fault. It's your fault, right? Because all of the hate, right, that has come from the Remainers, right, has made the pound devalue. It's nothing to do with like the red tape that they've put in front of all of our businesses and in front of everything. It's nothing to do with that that's devalued. Oh no, it's nothing to do with that. It's because the Ramonas keep Ramoning. And ex-National frontman Nigel Farage has said Liz Truss is betraying the Brexiters with her new immigration plans. And what did we say? We said it was all about immigration, Nigel, didn't we? That's what it was all about in the first place. It was never about anything else, right? And Nigel Farage, our ex-National Front friend, or foe, or fool, or Fidiat, whatever you want to call him, right? He's just come out and just saying it straight. How dare you, right? He's seen what's happened to the industries in this country. He's seen that pig farming is done, right? He's seen that social care needs so much staff. He's seen hospitality needs so much staff, right? And Nigel Farage, the only thing he can come out and say is racist stuff. Right? But what do we expect from a man who is ex-National Front? And this country followed. And it just shows who you people really are when you all followed Nigel Farage with his disgusting racism. Right. And now Nigel is just showing, because Nigel's always down at Dover, right, dinky spotting. Right. And now Nigel's just showing who he really is. It's immigrants. It's always been about the immigrants. And my friends, I have to bow out of here because I've gone 4 minutes over and I didn't want to do that again today. So, this, my friends, is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.